in a different... Okay, check this out, my friends. March. I've had to rewrite the whole thing. There's a typo. March does not start on a Saturday. February starts on a Saturday. January starts on a Wednesday. April starts on a Tuesday. But March does not start on a Saturday. Anyway, I've had to rewrite everything. And I'm glad I caught it. Yep, so I'm up in the small wall hall. And I guess it's appropriate to talk about my light bulb moment as I change the light bulbs here. And have a little difficulty. And I'm speeding things up and slowing things down and whatnot so you can watch what's going on in the background. We're facing the tall hall wall, and where the calendar is, I call that the small hall wall. I suppose if we want to get silly, we can call the other wall the hall wall. Anyway, back to the illumination of the light bulb moment I've been having. And it is all based on Joyce Whelan's quilt, remembering what it was that initially brought me into art and believing that I had something to say and a new language with which to articulate my thoughts. Writing also is part of that language, so poetry and short stories and novel writing and whatnot. So I do want to have the verbal in there, but visual language resonates differently in our brain, and it has different rules. What's that? Oh, I found out that there was plastic on the screw-on part, and that's why I was having trouble getting it in. So now there is light. Yep. And back to Joyce. Initially, what the quilt that she called Reason Over Passion was a comment on Pierre Elliott Trudeau, our new Prime Minister's statement about how he wanted to run the country, and it was reason over passion. And of course, artists are going to have a different take. I'm going to try that hat on. There we go. It's like a Pooh Bear hat, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, and back to it. Then she had a crush on Tom Thompson, from what I understand, but the two of them did something at the McMichael Gallery at one point, and they reversed the language and called it passion over reason. And I remember my take on it was different than everybody's. It was both. Trudeau was talking one over something, then they began talking passion over reason, and for me it's always been both. I want both. I don't want just one thing, because there's always an exception to every rule. That just, and if there isn't one that we see initially, you want to keep searching for it to see, is there something else I'm not seeing? Is there another facet of this gemstone that if I just turn it, catches the light differently? And so, yeah, I just felt really strongly about that, and going back and reflecting upon what it was that initially drew me in has been so illuminating. The lights are on, and I'm re-energized, and I'm, really gung-ho now about fixing up this space and getting it ready for me to do some artwork. And I want to be able to work large. That board in the background, it fits perfectly along the tall hall wall, and it's tall enough the wall is tall enough for me to be able to work large. Here we go. We're putting the boob light shade back on. I think it's funny that it's called a boob, and I like it. And I know a lot of people think that they're just horrid. I think they're funny. Oh yeah, and then we've got the spider webs and dusting that hasn't happened in a while. Get this place cleaned up. Oh, and there's Miss Twiggy, Miss Twiggy. All my favorite twigs from the garden. Yeah, and Figaro's no longer with us, but I have some of his twigs. Yeah, I'm gonna have to move that. I'm not sure where to put it yet. The mannequin, it's gonna have to go somewhere. The spare room will eventually be fixed up for me to do my artwork and jewelry, but for right now, I want to get going. Get this show on the road. Little shelves. I've got to figure out how to put them up. They're glued. They don't have screw holes. So once I figure out what I'm doing on the hall wall, I will put those up. But for now, we're going to screw in another little IKEA storage unit so that I can hide away some of my art supplies. They're not hanging out all over the place when I wake up and come out into the hall wall. I want to be able to still have it seen as a home that I live in. But for now, I'm going to be putting everything away in these little IKEA trones, and I have to screw that thing back in. And it's going to fit right beside the other one. I think I might be able to fit 6 of them. I've already got 3. You can't see them. You can see the top one. I've got 3. Now this will make 4. And I've got another one in the garage. And I'm sure there's another one hanging out somewhere. And if not, it doesn't matter. It's a staircase, right? So it's kind of a stepped kind of a thing. Yeah, look at the ceiling. Those are the steps going up into the laundry area, up to the roof where the greenhouse is. And I showed you that in the vlog before this one. I'll put a link to that. Yep, getting these screws in, and then they're a little bit out of whack and I have to push them back and forth a bit, but not that difficult. It didn't take me too long. See, it's not fitting yet. Got to bang a screw or two, get them into place, bent in the right direction so that this thing fits. And that happened with the other ones too. So there we are. It fits. Oh, I had to bang it. Now it fits. Perfect. Yep. And I can put the front piece on. Yep, I think I've got it done, but no, I don't. I see that it's sticking out a little bit, so I will fix that again. Boop. Done. Yep. And now I can start putting some of my supplies into the storage units. They've just been sitting on the floor. Here we are, some golden paints. Where am I going to put them? Okay, I'll put them in the second one. It's not going to be that difficult to be able to find them, but I have to be careful when I move down and have to get supplies, because I'm having to walk up and down a few steps here on the little landing. More stuff. Yay, getting it out of the way. It's actually quite perfect. A good place. And I did measure, and I am going to be able to tuck my frame along the tall wall between it and the trones. In there, you can see that it's a little bit away from the wall so that my frame will fit in there. It just fits. 66 inches. What's that? Figaro. Well, now I'm starting to voiceover talk to myself. Time to head downstairs and leave Miss Figgy Twiggy to admire my handiwork. Tea time. One of my favorite times of the day. So we've had a little physical activity up in the small hall wall. I'm making progress bit by bit. Let me get comfortable here. Here we are. Okay. Yeah, I want to talk about what I discovered. Remember? I did my planning. Then I went upstairs to translate what I'd written here onto the 365-day calendar on the small hall wall. And I discovered there was a discrepancy, and I kept going back up and back down, and I'm not good with numbers. I work hard at them, and then I become good. But I discovered that there's all of March, there was a typo. It started on the wrong day, and I kept trying to plug in where I thought Friday was and what the date was that went with it, and it wasn't happening. And I thought, it's me. It's the first thing you think of oftentimes is it's not them, it's me. And oftentimes it's them. Anyway, I did write to them. They've gotten back to me. They asked me to send pictures. I've asked for a refund, and I said, I hope that my getting in touch with you, because it made it sound like if they wanted pictures that they'd never had a complaint like this ever before. Anyway, I just said, I hope that my letting you know about this will help you fix the mistake and have great sales in the future. Yeah, and it was also wrinkled, as you could see, and it's not, should have come in a roll. I mentioned that too, nicely. And I'm going to use it. Of course I'm going to use it. I've just rewritten in magic marker over it, and I'm just glad I got it figured out, because I've run into problems before when the Sunday start and the Monday start calendars, and being a visual person, I see the visual first, and I end up showing up at someone's house a day early. Better than a day late, because then I got to still go to the event. But yeah, I have to be very careful about the planners that I choose to use. But I like the idea that that one is in a different format, so that I can think of things differently, so there's benefits of that, but you really have to be tuned into what the differences are. And that one's so different that it's pretty evident that I'm not able to slot things in. The Sunday, Monday starts are pretty close, and they get mixed up easily. Anyway, let me have my tea. What else can we spill with the tea? We talked about Joyce. I want to make a squash soup. I'm going to make that with the bone broth. And that's in Julie's book too. I do it a little differently. I do everything a little differently, as you may have noticed. But as a base recipe, I follow, or I check back in with Julie's to make sure that there's not something in there that I could add that would make it better than what I've already done. Yeah, and the squash soup, I really liked her addition of lemon. That was what really brought it over the top for me, and took a little salty, sweet, and sour into the soup, which made it really, really good and have some depth of flavor. At some point I will make it, and I'll let you know what I use. And I know I haven't put down the ingredients yet for the bone broth in writing, so I'll put them in the description this time, because I'm noticing that these are kind of becoming a little foodie related. Not a lot, but art, food granny. I'm thinking more jammy, not granny, because I'm not a granny, right? Yeah, kind of in comfortable clothes. They're not really pajamas, but we'll call them jammy vlog. Yeah, what else did I want to talk about? Did I make notes? Yeah, if you want to become part of the fam, and I'm using a term that Nomadic Introvert uses, I'll put her link below. She's another vlogger that I follow. I really enjoy her vlogs. But back to, what are we doing here? There we are. Okay, so there was something else I wanted to mention too. Oh yeah, when I was talking about this Monday starts in the calendar, I wanted to let you know why it's so important for me, because weekends I consider to be one unit, and I like to be able to have time either Saturday or Sunday to be able to do my renew and review. Well, no, review and renew. It's a little bit like a Joyce Wayland, where she took reason over passion and then made it passion over reason. The flip. Anyway, let's get back to what's at hand here. And what we have here is a carnival squash. Where's the sticker? I don't know. Anyway, I was going to make soup, and then I realized I want to paint this. That's why I bought this. I did a drawing of a carnival squash, and maybe that'll be my next long vlog, so you can see what I'm talking about. And then I didn't get around to painting it. I said I was going to, and so I had to buy another one. So this is the other one, and I'm wondering if maybe I need to buy another one, if there's enough variation on this. I mean, it is beautiful, and I can always use the other as reference and change some of the pattern. Anyway, so long and short of it is, I'm not going to be making a squash soup right now because I'm going to try to paint this. Oh dear. Well, this is life. Okay, I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you are too. Did I make notes? I think we may have done it. Oh, I know, the typo. It made me think about the last typo that I did, and I talked to two of my girlfriends about it. Tanya and Laura have let me know that in their field of work, they were editors, and they were asked to look over copy. There was always a typo, so I didn't feel so bad. Now maybe they were just saying that to me because they're my friends, but it seems no matter what you do, even when I was teaching 35 years, writing out instructions for students, there's always got to be something, right, that you got to fix. Then you fix it the next year, and the next year you find something else you want to fix, or you want to elongate a description. So we're human. We're not perfect. And if we were, maybe it wouldn't be so interesting, right? Yeah. Anyway, I thank my friends Laura and Tanya for supporting me through my last typo on the newsletter. Worked so hard on that, and had proofed it, and then Tanya proofed it, and then I went back in and made more changes that I got all excited about, and then of course, boom, typo right at the very end. And I'd already said to Tanya, that's where all the typos happen. For me, it seems so far. Right at the very end. I just get so excited. We're done. Yeah. Anyway, I think maybe we're done. This is the vlog for this week. And it was just a day, and it was just a little bit in the studio, but I call it the studio, my small hall wall studio. Yep, that's what it is. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. 1 minute. January starts moving.